They were boxed in by rock and shadow when the radio cracked with panic. We are surrounded. The words carried fear that training was supposed to erase. 8 Navy SEALs were pinned on a ridgeline with no clear exit, and somewhere above them, a woman they did not even know was already setting the wind in her mind. Asterisk, what city are you watching from today? If this story resonated with you, hit subscribe for more stories about extraordinary people. The mountains had a way of shrinking people. Jagged stone climbed toward a pale sky, and the air thinned until every breath felt counted. The team had been inserted before dawn to secure a narrow pass used by enemy couriers. The plan was clean. Move fast, hold high ground, exfil before midday. Plans rarely survived the mountains. Her name was Mara Hall, and she had arrived hours earlier, alone, carrying more weight in patience than in gear. Officially, she was attached as an observer, a specialist whose rank did not match her reputation. She wore no patch that announced her history. She wore the silence of someone used to being unseen. Down below, the SEALs advanced through broken shale. The pass narrowed. Shots cracked from 3 sides, controlled and deliberate. The team scattered the cover, but the terrain betrayed them. Each rock hit another angle. Each step forward exposed the flank. The radio filled with clipped reports and rising urgency. Mara lay prone above them on a ledge carved by centuries of wind. She had chosen it before sunrise, measured the lines, felt the thermals brush her cheek. She had studied the valley as if it were a living thing. She knew where fear would push men to move and where patience would save them. She listened as the team leader, a veteran, with a steady voice, assessed the damage. 2 operators were pinned behind a slab of granite. Another had taken a grazing hit, not serious but slowing. Ammunition was being counted now. The enemy was smart enough to wait and patient enough to bleed them dry. Someone on the team asked who the observer was. The answer came back flat. Sniper support, high ground. A pause followed, then a muttered comment that did not carry respect. They had trained together for years. Trust was forged in sweat and scars. A stranger on a mountain did not earn it by default. Mara did not react. She adjusted her position by inches. She checked the distance again. The far ridge was farther than it looked. Wind flowed unevenly through the pass, pushed and pulled by stone. She watched dust lift and fall. She watched a strip of cloth tied to a bush flicker and settle. Below, the enemy began to move. Shadows slipped between rocks. A burst of fire forced the SEALs to duck. The leader made a decision. He called for suppressive fire to break contact. The response came back tight. Not enough angles. Not enough cover. The radio crackled again, sharper now. We are surrounded. The words echoed across the valley and up the stone. Mara closed one eye and breathed once, slow and complete. She keyed her mic. Hold. Do not advance. The voice was calm, almost gentle. There was a beat of disbelief on the other end. The leader asked her to repeat. She did, and added one line that cut through the noise. I have the left ridge and the draw behind you. The enemy revealed themselves by mistake. Confidence makes people careless. A figure stepped into a sliver of light to signal. Mara tracked the movement, not the man. She felt the wind change at her cheek and waited for it to settle. When it did, she squeezed out. The shot was distant and final, a problem solved at the edge of vision. The signal never finished. The figure folded out of sight. The valley seemed to pause. Mara shifted her aim. Another movement, a shoulder behind a rock. She waited for the breath that followed a decision. The second shot took that decision away. The team below felt the pressure ease without understanding why. The enemy reacted, firing blind toward the heights. Rounds snapped overhead, far from her position. Mara remained still. She was not there to be seen. She was there to end patterns. The team leader's voice came again, steadier now. Contact reduced on the left. Mara replied with directions that sounded like intuition, but were born of observation. Move 10 meters right. Stay low. Wait for my mark. The mark came as a third shot, then a fourth, each place where fear and havoc put people. The draw behind the team went quiet. The ridge that had been alive with threat fell empty. A young operator looked up, searching the heights, trying to put a face to the relief he felt. He saw nothing but stone and sky. He did not need to see her to trust her now. Minutes stretched. The enemy withdrew, leaving the pass to the wind. The team regrouped, checked wounds, counted breaths. The leader spoke again, gratitude in his voice edged with curiosity. "Who are you up there?" Mara did not answer immediately. She watched the valley until it returned to being just a valley. Then she keyed the mic. "Sniper support. Keep moving." Exfil and 10 Dot, when the team reached the extraction point, the helicopter thundered down and lifted them away. From the air, the mountain looked indifferent. From the air, courage looked small. Mara descended later, careful and alone. At the staging area, the team waited. Helmets came off. Eyes met. The leader stepped forward, offered a hand. Respect passed without ceremony. Someone finally asked how she knew where to fire. She shrugged, not dismissive, just honest. People move when they think no one is watching. They learned her name then and some of her history. She had trained longer than most. She had been tested harder than many. She had learned that the quietest voices often carried the farthest reach. The mission report would list objectives achieved and casualties avoided. It would note sniper support from high ground. It would not capture the moment when panic turned to clarity. When trust crossed a gap without introduction. In the days that followed, the story traveled in fragments. A team surrounded. A voice from the mountain. Shots that came from nowhere and everywhere. Each retelling grew simpler, because truth often does. Mara moved on to the next assignment, another place where patience mattered more than presence. She did not seek recognition. She believed that the work spoke for itself if anyone cared to listen. The lesson lingered with the team. Strength does not always announce itself. Help does not always look like what you expect. Sometimes the difference between loss and survival is a calm voice above the chaos, choosing the moment to act. What did this story make you feel? Where are you watching from? Subscribe to Soul Relief Stories for more real stories that heal the heart.